Akeem Olufemi Gbajabiamila. God bless you all.
Glad to have you join us again on a fresh edition of the weekly Legislative Digest, House Ticket, a program designed to educate you on the role and processes of making laws by the legislative arm of government, Federal Republic of Nigeria. The House and Senate Committee on Electoral Matters recently held a one-day special hearing on the extent of implementation of the Electoral Act 2022 ahead of the conduct of the 2023 general election. Details of this hearing make up a major part of our program. Still on electoral matters, House Ticket had an interview with Lawmaker Aishatu Jibrin Dukku, Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Electoral Matters. We shall also bring you details in the course of the program. To wrap up the program, we shall bring you a review of some matters of urgent public importance, as well as motions from the other paper that the House considered before the recess. Stay tuned for the full program in a moment.
The entire purpose of the legislative agenda is to direct our legislative resources and efforts in a coordinated effort to ensure the well-being of the individual in a life of safety and freedom. That is a high ambition, but it's well worth the effort. We have passed landmark legislation to fix our oil and gas industry, reform the police, and reorganize the corporate administration system in our country. We have considered and passed meaningful legislation that impacts all areas of our national life.
Welcome back. House Ticket starts with the joint sitting of both the executive and legislature on electoral matters that was held last week. The purpose was to ascertain the level of implementation of the new Electoral Act. The hearing drew key stakeholders like civil society groups, international organizations, and political parties. Please stay tuned for details of the hearing in our first report on the program.
The one-day joint public hearing organized by the Joint Senate and House Committee on Electoral Matters was set in motion with the opening address of the chairman of the House Committee on Electoral Matters, Representative Aishatu Jibrin Dukku, who was represented by the deputy chairman of the committee, Representative Tijani Kayode Ismail.
General election, we all know, is clearly stated on this.
He stated the purpose of the public hearing.
It's just for us to hear what INEC have done so far on the implementation of the Electoral Act, which is a document from the National Assembly, which the whole Nigeria and the entire member of the National Assembly and the electorate, the relevant stakeholders have been part and parcel of before it's been passed into law. Now, it has become a legislative instrument which is guiding every one of us today, both the electorate, the aspirant, the candidate of various parties, even the INEC itself.
Preparedness of the Commission ahead of 2023 general election.
Chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, Senator Kabir Gaya, in his remarks said that the hearing of the Joint Committee is a form of oversight where critical questions and issues will be attended to. He added that the amendments of the Electoral Act is a turning point for the country to test democracy through a seamless and peaceful democratic transition, restating that INEC has been given the required legal framework to successfully carry out the democratic exercise.
So far, efforts that have shown that you are conscious of the enormous task ahead of you and the expectations of Nigerians as relates to the coming election. In order to enrich the special hearing, the Joint Committee has requested the public to send in questions in form of memorandum to the committee's email, and this had been collated by the Secretariat, and the committee will be addressing during these sessions.
This implementation of the Electoral Act.
Representing the INEC chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, at the hearing is the INEC Commissioner, Mrs. May Agbamuche Mbu, who in her remarks assured Nigerians that INEC is ready to conduct a free, fair 2023 general elections. She spoke on the enactment of the law.
There's no doubt that the National Assembly did a highly commendable job by the enactment of the Act, and for this we are ever thankful. The Electoral Act 2022 provides a new legal framework that, amongst other things, empowers the Commission to determine the mode of voting and transmission of results, and to review the declaration of results made under duress. It further legalizes the use of technology in elections, redefines overvoting, and alters the timelines for the conduct of elections. All preparations for the 2023 general election must therefore be in line with the provisions of the new Electoral Act. The moment the Electoral Bill 2022 was signed into law by the President on the 25th of February 2022, the Commission issued the timetable and schedule of activities for the 2023 general election.
She further spoke on the challenges facing the electoral umpire, especially with the recent attacks on its facilities, noting that INEC is working tirelessly in tackling the issue.
In all, we feel assured by the actions we have taken and our collaboration with the security agencies. The 2023 general election will proceed as planned.
Some stakeholders who were present at the hearing made their observations and recommendations.
The hope we all have is that elections will hold as scheduled. The situation in the country is challenging for all of us, but what will help to reduce the tension and challenge that the country is faced with is the holding of the elections as scheduled.
People are worried, the recent case that's gone through to the Supreme Court. The judiciary has to be, the rule of law is the foundation of all democracy. Democracy doesn't exist without the rule of law. We need the judiciary to stand up, to be independent, and there's quite often a lot of pressure on the judiciary.
The Electoral Act has some lacunae that has been exploited by the judiciary. We are all aware that even though the portal for electoral processes have been closed, courts are still giving conflicting judgments regarding candidates in this election.
Are you meeting up?
Some lawmakers also took turns to ask questions.
What do we do in such circumstances? When some of your members you took as agents have decamped, others have died, some are falling ill, and you know they will not be able to do the exercise.
We've had issues where people have told us candidates have died, only for the candidates to appear in INEC and say, no, I did not die. So you find that, you don't know, you need to know what INEC goes through. So we have to be wise, we have to be calm, we have to be professional, and if we do not continue to be professional, we're going to miss our way here.
Preparatory to the general elections, are you meeting up with the welfare of your staffs, going for these training programs?
This commission has always paid DTA. They pay our staff every penny that they are required. So if anyone tells you that they have not been paid, that person is lying.
A situation where that act, particularly the role of INEC, is now being subjected to some interpretations by the judiciary, is something that we have to look for ways and means of ensuring that we continue with the process of sanitizing our electoral process so as to restore confidence.
Other key stakeholders present at the public hearing are National Commissioner of INEC, Major General A.B. Alkali retired, directors and staff of INEC, some members of the diplomatic corps, political parties representatives, and civil society groups.
You are still on to House Tickets, a weekly program that keeps you informed on the activities from the Green Wing of the National Assembly. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the program, House Tickets spoke to the Chairman House Committee on Electoral Matters in an exclusive interview. She shed more light on the level of implementation of the new Electoral Act.
Its implementation started with the Ocean Security elections. And right now, even the preparations for the 2023 general election, it's all part of its implementation. And so looking at it, we are happy. We would say that like 75% has been achieved already. Powers of INEC is already being implemented. Budgets of INEC is already being implemented, and the sections on political campaigns is also being implemented, and those that are already breaking the law are already in the hands of the police, and we can say that we are happy. We have seen the implementation and it's going on.
Representative Aishatu Dukku also told us how the new Electoral Act will curb the issue of vote trading and buying in the forthcoming general elections and even future elections.
Nigerians soon will throw away the issue of vote buying because some of the politicians, I say some because not all the politicians are involved, that give the money to buy the votes, if they see that giving the money does not give them the result they want, definitely they would stop. So I'm coming back to the law. The law is very clear, and up to 2019, you have seen agencies like the EFCC, taking part in our elections. So the law is very clear. If you are caught, you'll be dealt with.
On a general note, Representative Aishatu Dukku spoke on the journey of the 9th House as it is gradually winding down.
The 9th Assembly came in, and then the Assembly, just like any other sector, was faced with the challenge of COVID-19. And this, of course, affected us. And but we were able to come back and pick it up. And then the leader of the team, being His Excellency Femi Gbajabiamila, is a great achiever who was determined, despite the setback of COVID, to achieve, the set goals of the 9th Assembly agenda. And we can proudly beat our chest and say that, yes, this Assembly has been a success story despite the challenges.
On a personal note, the lawmaker lists some of her major achievements as a member and chairman committee on electoral matters in the House of Representatives.
When my campaign team came, please vote for Mama, I said, no, she's a woman. So it was like, okay, she has been able to achieve. But when it comes to politics, it is a man's world. It is not for the woman. So, but pushing further, okay, give the woman a chance to try, so that you compare. There has not been a woman on that seat. So now, give the woman the chance so that you can be able to compare. And so that was how I got in from that 2014. And my people tried me, and Alhamdulillah, they have every cause to say Alhamdulillah, because I have been able to make the difference, in so many areas. In my own field of education, even in the health sector, in agriculture, social development, empowerment, I've been able to touch the lives of people. So Alhamdulillah. And as the chairman of the Committee on Electoral Matters, I'm sure you also know that, yes, I am very proud to say that during our tenure, we've been able to give the country a brand new electoral law.
What message does the lawmaker have for Nigerians as well as the political class at this critical time?
We have to conduct ourselves according to the law. The electoral law is very clear on conduct during rallies and campaigns, conduct during elections and after elections. It has guided us, so we must play the game according to the law. My call to all my colleagues, politicians, please let us obey the law. Let us not hit up the polity for no reason. Now, to the electorates. Do not allow some bad politicians to use you, especially the youth. Do not allow yourself to be used as political thoughts to cause mayhem, either during campaigns or rallies or even during the election. It is good we do everything peacefully because we need peace in our lives, in our country, so that we can achieve a lot more.
That was Lawmaker Aishatu Jibrin Dukku, Gimbian Dukku, meaning Princess of Dukku. She represents the good people of Dukku and NAFA, the Federal Constituency of Gombe State, northeast of the Federal Republic of Nigeria in the 9th House. We will take a break now, but when we return, a review of some motions on the matters of urgent public importance considered in January before the recess. Keep watching.
Before the House recessed, it considered a motion under matters of urgent public importance moved by Representative Leke Abejide on the urgent need for the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited, NNPCL, and other regulators in the petroleum industry to bring an immediate end to the lingering fuel scarcity across the country.
The scarcity is associated with saboteurs among some of the key stakeholders who deliberately manipulated the system. Worried that due to the scarcity, Nigerians are exposed to all sorts of hardship, which has resulted in hike in transportation, fares, and high cost of some major food items. Also worried that as a result of the petroleum scarcity, Nigerians are not finding it easy in their day-to-day livelihood activities.
His prayers were a call on the NNPCL to fish out saboteurs that may be behind the persistent fuel scarcity. Also called for a meeting between the leadership of the House and critical stakeholders of the petroleum sector, and that the relevant committees of the House should ensure compliance.
Those in favor of the motion say aye.
The motion was voted on and adopted.
That's a bit.
I rise to present a matter of urgent public importance.
Still on matters of urgent public importance, Representative Kabir Ibrahim moved a motion on the urgent need to give students of tertiary institutions a chance to participate in the general elections.
Academic calendars of various tertiary institutions are structured in a way that most students are disenfranchised, as school calendars do not take into consideration the timelines and dates for general elections. This lack of flexibility makes it difficult for students to participate in the electoral process. Aware that the 3.8 million of the newly registered voters are students, accounting for 40.8% of the total number of newly registered voters, as stated by the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, at the Commission's 2022 third quarterly meeting with political parties in Abuja. Concerned that these students, who constitute 40.8% of the newly registered voters, have their polling units sited in states outside their campuses, thereby necessitating traveling outside their respective institutions to vote in the 2023 general elections.
He prayed that the House should call on the relevant authorities in the education sectors, like the National Universities Commission, to direct the suspension of academic proceedings to deal with the issue and allow students to get their voters' cards and later on participate in the general elections. The motion was voted on and adopted. In a related development, the National Universities Commission issued a directive to all universities across the country to shut down academic activities from February 22nd to March 14, 2023, to allow students of these institutions participate actively in the 2023 general elections.
On 8 December 2020, while returning from their distant farms.
Still on motions before the recess, a motion from the order paper on the need to complete the Ivo Dam project in Ebonyi and Enugu states was considered. It was moved by Representative Makwe, Livinus Makwe.
On November 15, 2020, Mrs. Odo Aja got drowned, and Mr. Roland Ajoji and Mr. Ivoke Aja Victor lost their lives to the flood on 8 December 2020 while returning from their distant farms using a locally made canoe. Similarly, on December 20, 2020, Mr. Cletus Okore died in the same dam flood. Most causes of deaths were recorded between 2020 and 2022. Observe that affected communities have written severally to the Federal Ministry of Water Resources and the National Emergency Management Agency to come to their aid, but to no avail. NEMA personnel visited the site on few occasions to assess the situation and later made delivery of relief materials. Only Impu and Omango communities in Enugu State benefited, while Ngogo, Amoku, and Ameke communities of Ivo local government area in Ebonyi State were worst affected and neglected.
Being an infrastructural motion, it was not debated, but the House resolved to urge the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, and the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to immediately intervene in the predicament of Ngogo, Amaokwe, Okwe, and Amaeke communities of Ivo local government area of Ebonyi State and provide relief materials, shelter, and alternative means of livelihood pending the completion of Ivo Dam. Mandate the Committee on Water Resources to interface with the Ministry of Water Resources to audit the Ivo Dam project contract performance and to complete the project in earnest and as a matter of urgent national importance. Also mandate the Committees on Water Resources and Emergency and Disaster Preparedness to ensure compliance.
Roads provide an important means of land.
Representative Tanko Sununu also moved a motion on the need to commence rehabilitation of Malondo, Garimbaka, Ngaski, Towara Road in Ngaski, Shanga, Yauri Federal Constituency of Kebbi State.
The Kebbi State government has undertook the construction of the road and subsequently rehabilitated the road twice, but due to heavy trunks, the road is currently in deplorable condition. Further aware that the Federal Executive Council exploring Executive Order 007 of 2019, Roads, Infrastructure, Development and Rehabilitation Investment Tax Credit Scheme, has approved the sum of 28,325 million naira in October 2021 for the rehabilitation of the road through mainstream energy source solutions. Worried by the negative impact of the condition of the road on the economy, security, free movement of persons, and the fact that the contractor is yet to mobilize to the site.
The House, in adopting the motion, resolved to urge the Federal Ministries of Finance, Works and Housing, Federal Inland Revenue Services, and Mainstream Energy Solutions to complete all necessary paperwork and compel the contractor to immediately commence rehabilitation of Malondo, Garimbaka, Ngaski, Towara Road in Ngaski, Shanga, Yauri Federal Constituency of Kebbi State. Mandate the Committees on Finance, Works and Housing to ensure compliance.
And with that, we come to the end of this episode of the program. Let's meet again on this station for more on the workings of our elected representatives at the Green Chamber of the National Assembly. Remember to stay safe always and support the electoral process by exercising your right to vote. God bless Nigeria.